Okay, so good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Michiko, for your prayer. Of course, the news that we all learned about last night has captivated our attention, and I had prepared a sermon prior to that, of course. Oh, you got the clock going, okay. And so I'll stop talking at the beginning here. Okay. So I prepared a sermon, and I thought, well, what should I do? And I prayed about it, and I thought, I'm going to go ahead and share my message, but I will try to tie it into what's the very serious situation that's happening right now in America and how that relates to our work. Is that good like that? So this presentation actually is taken from a presentation I gave the other day. For the last 3 years, I've been fortunate enough to be invited to give a guest presentation over Zoom to a university in Nicaragua. And it's a university that is called UCC, University of Universidad de Ciencias Comerciales. And they have the president is a private school. They have a close relationship with UPF. And so for several years, they've been hearing UPF conferences basically about values. So this is taken from that presentation. So the topic today is, what do I gain when I invest in the well-being of others? And it involves living a life of service. And I have Mother's picture here, because I believe that Mother is the one who most embodies in our day today what a life of service really means. The last 3 weeks at HJI, the senior faculty and staff have been gathering on Monday mornings to review the 7 lectures that were presented in Korea as guidance for the teaching that Mother is revealing to us. We've met every Monday morning. We'll meet again tomorrow morning. And I wanted to highlight something I saw in the third presentation. And if you have a copy of the tapes or the PowerPoints, you can find this quote from there in the third lecture. Heavenly Parent has a dream to give birth to human beings as the children who can monopolize Heavenly Parent's love, and to create an eternal world where they experience joy and happiness while giving and receiving infinite love. This is the introduction to the third lecture on the essence of the 2,000-year history of Christianity. The key word here is, well, 2 words: dream instead of purpose, dream and vision for us as God's children. And instead of create, Mother uses the word give birth, which I think is so wonderful because it's so appropriate that true Mother, as the only begotten daughter, would reveal this understanding of how we came to be as a process of birth. Only the Mother could truly explain that. So we've seen that in the work that God has been doing through Jesus first, and now at the time of our true parents, and particularly in the case of true Mother. So if we want to talk about service, we need to talk about what service means. And we need to talk about service as a function of our growth. If we are created or given, God is seeking to give birth to His children who are full in His love, we must grow to that level of maturity. And so we need to develop our character. And one of the things I want to point out today is that our character grows through the force of love, motivated by the force of love, but primarily through service to others. And you've seen this Yeah, I used this before in another presentation. Our growth, we are born as infants and we grow to maturity. And as a child, oh, we didn't fix it. It's okay. When we move from one system to another, there's going to be some errors, I guess. It's okay. A child fundamentally, we know a child gives. My 7th granddaughter was born the other day in Australia, and I say that at every opportunity to tell everyone. But baby, when it's born, basically is receiving. It's at our mercy. But we know it also returns beauty. But primarily, when you're a child, a toddler, you're basically in a position to receive from those around you. As you become a little bit older in adolescence, you're able to give, you're learning to give, and the measure of your growth is your ability to give. But often we can only give in response to what we receive. So that's an intermediate stage. Adulthood, and I think in God's eyes, this is how He envisions us being as mature children, is that while we always will receive, our primary motivation and our direction is to give. We live for others. That's a mature person. That's who true parents are. And that's what God's vision is for each of us. So maturity or perfection is guided by how much we grow in love through service. And that is the testament to our development of our character. So love is expressed through acts of service. So let's talk a little bit about that. Service is the concrete expression of love. And service means, as I looked it up in the dictionary, it's offering something for the well-being of others. Doing something, whatever it is, for the well-being of the other. Even when we talk about in modern academia, there is a theory of servant leadership. Father always talked about servant leadership. You start from the bottom and you move up. That was a restorational teaching, but it's no less important in our understanding of how we view others, that we serve others. The servant leadership is a leadership style that prioritizes the growth and well-being of other people. And when we look at our own growth in the family, the first thing we are in relationship to our parents is a son or a daughter. And we strive to be a good son or daughter. We learn how to do that. We also are siblings to our brothers and sisters. And based on that, we can become good friends or companions to those around us. On that foundation, we marry, we become a wife, become a husband. We then seek to become a good father or a good mother. And that's this foundation upon which allows us to act as a good citizen and to be a constructive, contributing member of society. And then in the professional world, or in the world of vocation, whatever that may be, you may become a good teacher, a good business person, a good professional in your field, and as such, become a good leader to those around. So this is a process of growth. So this is the foundation for us, once we go through, in our experiences in life, to express our creativity, to be productive, to have a positive impact through our lives. And I think all of us want to have a positive impact in the things that we do. So if we seek to be successful, being successful is not just going to school and learning information, it's applying what we learn to our daily lives and actions in the classroom, but more importantly, outside the classroom, in our family or in our place of work, etc. So we develop our character through the experiences that we have in our life. And we can have good experiences, positive experiences, uplifting experiences. We can have experiences we would call bad, right? That also contributes to our growth and development in our character. We go through difficult times, we go through gratifying experiences, and sometimes we experience the bitterness of life. We're disappointed, we're hurt, we feel defrauded. But all of those things, as Mother and Father have taught us, contribute to our growth. Father always told us, you go up, but you necessarily go down. You climb the mountain, and as you reach the summit, you descend the mountain into the valley in order to climb the next mountain. And in Father's vision, that next mountain was always a higher peak that we're striving for as a metaphor for our life. In this process, we learn how much we have to offer. We don't learn about ourselves only through blessings that we receive or positive, enjoyable experiences. It's often when we're confronted by our own limitations and through that process grow that we begin to discover who we really are, what we have to offer, and how we can go beyond the difficulties that we face in our life. So, often when we face difficult situations, we just forget about everything I just said. I know I do. Just completely as if I never knew it. And instead, I enter into a confrontational dialectic with the other. There's me, and there's the other. They're a threat to me, and I clash, and there's an explosion. There's hurt on both sides. There's pain. There's disappointment. And then sometimes even disillusionment. Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe we're not going to get anywhere. Maybe this path is wrong, right? So this kind of dynamic that we often fall prey to leads us to disagreement, conflict, and then sometimes destruction. Destruction of families and societies and even nations. And actually, when you think about it, we are more fragile than you may think. We become, you know how they say health-wise, you are what you eat? In our spirit, we become what we think and what we do. And Father always taught us that, to be careful. What goes into your eyes, what goes into your ears, what comes out of your mouth. That's what will determine your future, what you become. And often I enter into this kind of dynamic when I'm feeling resentful. Resentment, the principle teaches us, comes from a feeling of not being loved. I'm resentful because somebody forgot me. They didn't recognize me. They didn't remember me. And that makes me angry. And I feel envy for those that are blessed because I'm not blessed. I'm not the one who is being recognized. I should be recognized, so I feel envy towards that person. And because I'm not being recognized, often we seek to take vengeance against the other. Now, does anybody feel that behaving this way is productive, is constructive, will lead you to become a truly happy person, or create a truly happy family, or live in a society that's truly happy? Any human action based upon resentment as a foundational motivation, or anger, or envy, or vengeance, or anything like this, will not lead us to happiness. It will not take us to the goal that we're seeking to achieve. So along these lines, I'd like to just mention quickly, as the clock is ticking, about rights and responsibilities. We're very big on rights, right? We're not so big on responsibilities. And so we think, I deserve this. Look how hard I worked. I should deserve whatever it is, right? I'm entitled now to do blah, 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 right? Others should treat me in such and such a way. Again, this is starting from the wrong point of view about what rights mean, right? So we're always looking like these two goldfish are. I want to be in the bigger bowl, right? Look at him. He's got so much room. I'm all cramped in here. He's favored and I'm not. So I want my rights. I have right to live in a big fish bowl with more water, right? And the other thing that happens is that when we do this, we think that somehow the other person is wrong. I'm right and he's wrong. I'm right and she's wrong, right? So this is the wrong focus. And the principle teaches us this. This is clearly expressed in unification thought about the proper relationship between rights and responsibilities. When we think about what rights are something that we receive. Responsibilities are something that we Invest in, and it is a giving action, taking responsibilities for others. So we've already talked about what those responsibilities are. We're going to talk a little bit more. So in order to safeguard our rights, we have to fulfill our responsibilities, right? I don't want to fulfill my responsibility. I don't like responsibilities. It's no fun, right? No fun, say yeah. No fun being responsible. But it's really noble, though, in a way. So, on that foundation, let's talk about service as a basis for our lives. So let us ask ourselves, are we living a life of service? I think to a great degree we are, but we could always improve. So, sorry, the colors on this screen don't come out so well, but we know in the divine principle we talk about our relationship with others. There's myself, and there's the other, whatever that is, another person, some object, right, God. And in this process of give and take, or give and receive, the first action is always giving. That's serving. Our first thought in the morning is we wake up, how can I serve God? Father would wake up in the morning and he would think of us, or he would think of Mother. And how can we receive? On that foundation, having given, then we seek to receive. And as Jesus said in Matthew 7:12, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Right? We've heard this a million times, but let's think about it deeply this morning. If you are unhappy and you feel like you're not being treated well, the question that we should ask then is not how the other is treating me, but how am I treating the other one, right? If you want to be respected, the first thing we should do is respect others. So let us ask ourselves, do we respect others? Do we value them as sons and daughters of God? You can never treat others too well. You can never do that too much. And also, honestly, a good kind of sage advice that I've learned in life is you never have too few enemies. You know? Some people become your enemy because they're just your enemy. They're against you. That's their side. But if you often create enemies yourself by being selfish. So, to understand what kind of person we should become, ask yourself, what kind of person are you attracted to? Obviously, we're attracted to people of goodness, people who are serving, people who are sacrificial, people who are invested. You want to have friends like this, right? Right? I like friends like this. And these are the kind of friends that I really want to have, right? So, you also would like your parents and your brothers and sisters to behave this way. So, if that's the case, in order for you to be respected, please be this kind of person. On a daily basis, every day, make your best effort to become this kind of person. What are the fruits of service? If you behave this way, others will be attracted to you. But keep in mind that this is not something that happens. If I'm nice to Dr. Hendricks today, he may not be the same kind of nice to me today. But maybe in 2 weeks or a year, suddenly, we're drawn together closely. It takes time. So invest your time, be constant, even in the face of disappointment, right? And in the end, you become the center. And everyone benefits from your presence. That's when you become a leader. A leader is not a position. A leader is who you are, what you inspire in others. So who wins when we serve others? I win. If I serve others, actually, in the longer term, I win. By giving, I win. We all win. So sometimes we think, I don't want to give because if I give it, I don't have it anymore. So I really, really like Simone's phone. Actually, it's not her phone, it's her phone cover. Look at that. Look at that. That's really special, right? Right? So Simone probably won't give that to me. Right? Because if she gives it to me, she won't have it anymore. Right? Just joking. Just joking. So, because we think that, I have $5, but if I donate to the church, I don't have any more money. Right? If I give it away, I no longer have it. But that's not the law of the universe. The law of the universe is give and receive. is a fundamental, unchanging, eternal law. It is absolute. But it takes place over time, not in a moment. So we have to maintain a little bit longer perspective. This is, I'm sure, a quote, a famous Native American proverb that was made famous by a poem by Mary Lathrop at the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century. You can't really understand another person's experience until you walked a mile in their shoes. So to come close to our brothers and sisters, we need to understand them. We can't just treat them the way we think they are. We need to learn about them. So put yourself in the position of the other. Look at things from the point of view of the other person. And ask yourself, what is this person going through? What are their challenges? What are their burdens? And then treat that other person as your brother or your sister, right? So when I look today, when I met Dr. Charlie in the parking lot, hello, brother. And it's not just a word, because I feel a very close connection to Edmund, right? And right away he started telling me what he had been doing. And so you treat, the place that you learn how to treat others is how you treat your own brothers or sisters, right? And why do we do that? Because we're all children of God. We're all children of God. So everyone is my brother and sister. So if your brother or sister is suffering, how do you feel? So if John is suffering, or John was suffering without a job for the longest time, so we're all praying for John. We feel for him, particularly if you know what it's like to be out of work, right? I love this quote from Mother Teresa. Love always moves away from self in the direction of the other. Love is the ultimate gift of ourselves to others. When we stop giving, we stop loving. When we stop loving, we stop growing. And unless we grow, we will never attain personal fulfillment, maturity, the first blessing. We will never open out to receive the life of God. It is through love we encounter God. So if God is missing in our lives, we think, I need God to feel love. It's kind of like a catch-22 sometimes. But by giving love, you find God in a deeper way. So when we think about our nation, here in America, United States, the way to behave in our own country is to treat our nation the same way we would treat our own household. The people living in the household and the home itself. Behave towards others in the same way you behave with the members of your own family. And treat others as if they are members of your own family. They're not just another person because of their race, their background, their nationality, or their political affiliation, or their religious belief. Independent of that, fundamentally, they are my brother or my sister. If you live that way, I've learned in my life, my conscience is peaceful. Maybe things don't work out really well, but at least I'm trying my best. I'm doing my best to make this happen. And that is the basis for the kind of society that we're looking for. We talk about Chanilguk, peace and unity, where two people become one. There's the literal definition, as I've been explained, right? So in order for that to happen, I must be part of that. It's not going to happen without my participation. I decided to include this quote. It's a quote that was in the original lecture in Spanish. It doesn't have the same, feeling as in Spanish, but I think still meaning. Jose Marti was a Cuban poet from the late 19th, early 20th century. Very known, well known throughout all of Latin America, and highly respected. He said, in life, the only force and the only truth is love. Patriotism is love. Friendship is nothing more than love. Okay, so to conclude, I just want to make a couple of comments about the current providence with our true mother and the situation in America. This morning, Pastor Tequino, I took this from morning Chumchiwan prayer with Pastor Tequino in the New Jersey church. Some of us go to the New Jersey church prayer call in the morning. I always like to attend. And Pastor Tequino just came back from Las Vegas, and he talked about Mother being there when she returned from Brazil. So, I got to do it here too. Here's the picture. So you can't really see Mother in there unless you look really close, but you see Naukimi? She's directly between Naukimi and I forget the brother's name there. Right straight back. That's her looking off to the side, right? And she's here in the middle of this picture on the lower side here. She's in the picture. She's there. This is in a steakhouse where she took the members to have lunch or dinner somewhere. And Pastor Aquino explained that Mother had come from Brazil. You might be surprised, but it's cold in Brazil. It's winter down there. You know, you think Brazil is always hot, but actually it was cold. It's winter. And then she flew from, not like snow. There's no snow. But it's cold. And she flew to Las Vegas, where it's 120. And very difficult. Very, very difficult. So Mother's making effort. Why is Mother making all this effort? Mother understands more than anyone what's going on in America. Mother doesn't talk about it in terms of the political situation, but she understands the root of all the issues. She's asked the politicians, remember a couple of years ago, please, like in so many words, please behave. Please behave. Right? Because Mother sees the consequences. But Mother does not lose hope. She comes here to continue to encourage us to build Chanilguk, which is truly the answer to all of our societal ills. It's not the elections in this country or any other that will be the solution. It's the society that God is trying to build through true parents and by extension through us. So last night when I just flipped on the news and saw what had happened, how did you feel? Shock? So I remember, let me just pull up my notes. When I was 9 years old, John Kennedy was shot in Dallas. We were living in Germany. My father was in the military service. We woke up because of the time difference, and we got the news that President Kennedy had been killed. I will never forget that day. Incredible. People were so distraught. And I'm sure those of you who are the same age can remember where you were exactly when you heard that news. I was watching on television 2 days later. President Kennedy died November 22nd, 1962. Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested. He was taken to prison in the Dallas jail, and they were transporting him from the Dallas jail to the penitentiary. And live on television, and I'm in Germany watching live, he was shot by Jack Ruby. I will never forget that. Martin Luther King was assassinated April 4th, 1968. Then only a few months later, Robert Kennedy had just finished a public rally, political rally, because it was election time, in San Francisco, and he was going on to Los Angeles. He said, we're going on to Los Angeles. You remember the word, I remember it so clear. Going on to live on television. He walked away from the microphones, and Ciron came up from behind and shot. And then Ronald Reagan, an attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan by Robert Hinckley, March 30th, 1981. So coincidentally, on March 30th, 1981, I was in Belvedere with True Parents in a leaders meeting. And Father was doing one of his regular leaders meeting. And from the back of the room, a Korean brother who was working with the News World came in and just spoke up and interrupted the meeting to give Father the news that Reagan had been shot. So we didn't know the first time we heard it, and I watched Father. And Father's response was, well, he should have known that that could happen. So that reminds me of another time when we were at Berrytown, 1975, near Father's Trail there, where he used to sit with us. And Father's inspiring us, giving us a talk. And I don't know if it was Colonel Hahn, somebody came up and whispered in Father's ear. And Father listened, no reaction, and he just continued. So later we found out that they had given the news that Hyojinim had been out on the water somewhere with a friend of his. The boat capsized and his friend died. But Father's face was impassive. So I was thinking about what to say this morning about this. If this were to happen and true parents were here and we asked them and we saw them, they would not think this is the end of the world, but they would become more and more serious. I think for us, this is a wake-up call. It's like the most evident kind of wake-up call that we all need. America as a nation, but us as the installers of Chonilguk. That we have, everything we do can have such a positive effect on everything if we move forward. Today, I was coming here on Route 25 and 28. You know, have these electric signs, you know, and it like slow down or something like that, or click it or ticket. This one said, there are no accidents. And I thought, that's exactly what has happened. There's no accident. So there's a reason for this, but how we respond is the most important thing. So we are in the Elder Son Nation, and the Elder Son Nation is the hope for God through the work that God did historically through Jesus, true Father and true Mother. And as the United States, together with Japan and Korea, we have a fundamental responsibility to redetermine ourselves today. So, true Mother is the example of love and service. Mother knows that we need to go this way. Mother isn't doing this at her elderly age because she knows how critical it is right now. So my concluding thought is that let us take this as a wake-up call. Let us be on our toes again. Let us become involved. Let us support our true Mother. So to become the human beings, as I said in the beginning, as the children who can monopolize Heavenly Parents' love and create an eternal world where they experience joy and happiness while giving and receiving infinite love. So my last slide is a slide from George Washington. Bruce is the one who should be talking about this, not me. But if you study the American Revolution, George Washington's and the American Continental Army's task was extremely difficult. Really, there's no way they could win. And soldiers would leave after their enlistment was over. There was no supplies. Congress wouldn't pass any bills. Washington was defeated in critical battles. And then in 1777, the American troops suffered an incredible defeat at Fort Ticonderoga. And so General Washington at that time wrote this in a letter to Major General Philip Schuyler. He said, "We should never despair. Our situation before has been unpromising and changed for the better. So I trust it will again. If new difficulties arise, we must only put forth new exertions and proportion our efforts to the exigency of the times." So thank you very much.